Ooh. Making sure everything's going on swimmingly, so it seems like it is to an extent. Hmm. For some reason I have faces of things. Huh. Alrighty. Well, let's go where we left off. We were talking about a bit of the ancient history into what is it? Yeah, I might as well go through the history because boy oh boy, look at all this stuff. I could always go down to prehistory, but I already went through much part of it. Now you have the 500 BCE through 300 CE before the Common Era and the Common Era period called the Sangam. Sangam period 500 BCE through 300 CE. The early history of the people and rulers of Tamil Nadu is a topic in Tamil literature sources known as Sangam literature. Numismatic, archaeological, and literal for literacy. Sources corroborated that the Sangam period lasted for about 8 centuries from 500 BCE to 300 CE. The recent excavations in Algam archaeological sites suggest that Algamkolnam is one of the important trade centers or port cities of the Sangam era. Alrighty. So, let's put this. It's just freaking out. It's burning a little bit, so that's a bit suspicious little cat. But okay, ancient Tamil Nadu contained 3 monarchical states headed by kings called Vedhar and several tribal chieftains headed by the chiefs called by the general denomination Vel or Velir. Alright, then looking at that, the kids are known as the 3 crown kings were the Cheras, Cholas, and Pandras. The Charles controlled the western part of and today western Tamil Nadu and Kerala. The Pandras controlled the south and today's southern Tamil Nadu. The Cholas base controlled today northern Tamil Nadu. Alright, this is things that aren't going through. That I already got through. These rulers sponsored one of the earliest Tamil literature. The oldest Sangam work has knowledge of is the okay, the oldest Sangam work we have knowledge of is the Tolkam Kimpim, a book of Tamil grammar. Most Sangam literature dealt with themes of love and war. In these poems, a glimpse of Tamil society at the time can be glimpsed. The land was fertile and people pursued different occupations depending on what regions they were. The gods include figures such as Sinyon and Kotoravai, who were worshipped at different places. The rulers patronized Buddhism and Jainism, and starting to see references of Vedic customs began to grow. Alrighty. Yeah, significant trade has been good from the outside world. Yeah, go through this. For the most price goods from tobacco or spices known as black pepper, but other spices, pearls, silk, were also widely traded there. I guess around 300. During their rule, similar traditions greatly impacted literature written during that time. Vegetarian patronizing Buddhism and Jains before the Shiva Rebuddhism and the Bhakti movement. Alright, now let's just go to the Middle Kingdom, 600 through 13,000 CE. Count on, okay, an ancient dam built in Kabir River, then the shore temple built by folks during the 8th century. And then the Beethoven Cole, the finished temple, was believed to have been built during the 8th century by Pandras in Kalukama. Alrighty. Also, go through this one. Kilundam, a Sangam era excavation site in Sangam period. Alrighty. During the 4th and 8th centuries, Tamil Nadu saw the rise of the Pallava dynasty under Mendraman I and his son Mamal Navishman I. The Pallavas ruled parts of South India and Kanchipuram. At their capital, Tamil architecture reached its peak during the Pallava rule. Nashvama II built the Shore Temple, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Much later, the Pallavas were replaced by the Chola dynasty as the dominant kingdom in the 9th century, and they in turn were replaced by the Pandya dynasty in the 13th century. The Pandya capital, Pandarai, was in the deep south away from the coast. They had extensive trade links within the Southeast Asian maritime empires of Java and their successors, as well as contacts reaching from the Roman Empire. During the 13th century, Marco Polo mentioned the Pandras as the richest empire in existence. The temples, such as the Minskanshkin Aman temple at Mandara and the Pandras, excelled in both trade and literature. Oh, no. I'm mistaken that. Mandara and Nalapara temple at Trinovali are the best examples of Pandra temple architecture. The Pandras excelled in both trade and literature. They controlled the pearl fisheries along the south coast of India between Sri Lanka and India, which produced some of the finest pearls in the known ancient world. As you can see pretty much here. Alright. The descent of Ganga Jas is one of the largest rocks reliefs in Asia. Chola Empire. In the 9th century, the Chola dynasty was once again revived by the Bala Chola, who established Dandra as Chola's new capital by conquering central Tamil Nadu from Mandra, that Panther king Varagunavraman II. Then going down here, the Cholas rose to the notable power in the Southeast Asia. Now the Chola Empire stretched as a Mughal in Sri Lanka. At the peak, the empire spanned almost. And I'm catching something in my throat. Alrighty. Raja Chola conquered the peninsula to Vietnam. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Lagweep, Sumatra, Java, Malaya, Philippines, and Southeast Asia, and the Penghu Islands. He defeated the Manapa, the king of Bengal, and to commemorate his victory, he built a new capital and named it Gegorgon Chonbon. Alrighty. Also, I want to see if this mic is definitely picking up my voice well. It seems like it's having some faintness while looking through OBS. That's so gosh darn it when it comes to the camera. Keeps on also moving by itself. I guess that it could be the cable. But yeah, relics from Chola period from left to right. Aravatasvara temple of Darasornam, copper alloy statue of Hindi god Natarajan, and bronze statue of his consort Parvati. The Cholas were a prolific temple. Alright. Waters right from the times of the first medieval king. Chola. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm just gonna skim through this to an extent. Shoot, Green Range Wall Temples. Because a bunch of sites are just historical sites. There's just a lot of great living Chola temples, the granite Goram Tower of Rahandesh Temple, Svara Temple built by the Raja Chola. Okay. The pyramid structure above the sanctum of. Alright, how to pronounce this? Brihadisvara Temple Ganga Konda Chola Param. Brihadisvara Temple entrance Gopurams at Thanjavur. Okay. Now we're here. Banjakas in Navika period 1336 through 1646. Okay. The Muslim invasions of southern India triggered the establishment of the Hindu Vijayanagar Empire, with Vijayanagar in modern Karnataka as its capital. The Vijayanagara Empire eventually conquered the entire Tamil country by 1370 CE and ruled for almost 2 centuries until its defeat in the Battle of Talikota in 1565 by the Confederacy of Deccan Sultanates. Subsequently, at the Vijayanagara Empire went into decline after the mid-16th century. Many local rulers called Navakas succeeded in gaining the trappings of independence. This eventually resulted in the further weakening of the empire. Many Navakas declared themselves independent, among whose the Navakas of Mandara and Tandor were the first to declare their independence, despite initially maintaining loose links with the Vijayanagara kingdom. The Navakas of Mandara and Navakas of Nanjavur were the most prominent Navakas of the 17th century. It looks like I'm not pronouncing it right. They reconstructed some of the well-known temples in Tamil Nadu, such as the Meenakshi Temple. And I reveal the Meenakshi Temple from the top of the southern Garama. Looking north, the temple was rebuilt by the Vijayanagara Empire. It also looks like that my foot might be bleeding. That's not good, but I should still have some time. And I could always sit and rest whenever too, but so close. Oh, yeah, I'll just carry on. Power struggles of the 18th century, 1688 through 1802. By the early 18th century, the political scene in Tamil Nadu saw a major change over and was under the control of many minor rulers aspiring to be independent. The fall of the Vijayanagara Empire and the Chandragiri Nakas gave the Sultanate of Golconda a chance to expand into the Tamil heartland. When the Sultanate was incorporated into the Mughal Empire in 1688, the northern part of the current-day Tamil Nadu was administered by the Nawab of the Karnat, who has his seat in Arcot from 1715 onward. Meanwhile, to the south, the fall of the Thanjavara Navakas led to the short-lived Thanjavara kingdom. For the Madra Navakis brought up many small Navakas of southern Tamil Nadu, who ruled small parcels of land called Palamams. The chieftains of these Palamams were known as Palayakara or Polagar, as called by the British, and were ruling under the Nawabs of the Sarnak. Europeans started to establish trade centers during the 17th century, so pretty much around the 1600s. In the eastern coastal regions, around 1609, the Dutch established a settlement in Polycat, because pretty much the Dutch really like to colonize a lot of places before other Europeans around the globe. While the Danes had their establishment in Tharamgamda, also known as Strangwabar, in 1639, the British, under the East Indian Company, established a settlement further south of Polikat in present-day Chandan. British constructed Fort St. George and established a trading post at Madras. The office of Morality of Madras was established in 1688. So Morality? Moral? Yeah, it's morality. Morality of Madras was established. The French established trading posts at Pondicherry by 1639. Okay, now I'm actually in a mix of what is a transatlantic to a southern twang voice. The British and the French were competing to expand the trade in the northern parts of Tamil Nadu, which also witnessed many battles like Battle of Wadawash as part of the 7 Years' War. And alrighty. British reduced the French dominions in India to Pondicherry. Nawabs and the convict bestowed tax revenue collection rights on the East Indian Company for defeating the kingdom of Mysore. Muhammad al-Khan Wallahi surrendered much of his territory to the East Indian Company, which firmly established the British in the northern parts. In 1762, a Tripoli Treaty was signed between Thanjavara, Martha, Carnatic, and the British, by which Thanda became a vessel of the Nawab of the Karnataka, which eventually ceded to the British. Well, at least the nasally voice is helping with the other voices that I'm looking at. But anyway, it is the time again. So, there is going to be a next time where I go under this. I gotta remember my place. Power struggles of the 18th century. Gotcha. And reflect where I pretty much talked over, which was the history and such. But anyway, anywho, aloha.